I could see special vibe. I could see in his eyes sort of welcoming signals saying, yep, we can do something together. I first met him at Mrs. Indira Gandhi's home. It was evening about 6:30, and I meet this young man who was just about my age, bright, good-looking, well-dressed, beaming with a lot of enthusiasm. And he took a lot of interest in what I had to say. So we got connected instantly. I could see special vibe. I could see in his eyes sort of welcoming signals saying, yep, we can do something together. I had this idea of bringing telecom and IT technology to India with indigenous model of development, where we could build human capacity in India for the future. It required training large number of young people in technology that didn't exist in India then. We used to import everything, not only in terms of microprocessor, C++ language, software programming, but also hardware and all of that. And we also needed Indian model of development, not just indigenous. So our idea was to really develop products for the rural India, focus on accessibility as opposed to telephone density. So all kinds of details that one had to worry about, which reflected Indian requirements. High humidity, lot of dust, temperature swings. All of these things reflect in the design of hardware, software, everything. CDOT stands for Center for Development of Telematics, which is the science of telephone and IT. We had Department of Telecom. They were really more focused just on telephone. And our idea was to go beyond telephone and design telephone system based on microprocessors and new software. So telematics sort of worked as an idea, and we could distinguish ourselves from the bureaucracy of the telecom department. So our idea was to set up an independent center, autonomous body with freedom and flexibility, with 400-500 young people to develop products in a government funded program. So that's what CDOT was. It took almost 3 years to sell the idea to bureaucracy, to government, to politicians, in spite of the fact that Mrs. Gandhi was convinced that Rajiv Gandhi was behind it, but we had to go through the process, and we went through all that. Robot was sort of something that I had at home in 1982-83, and it used to walk around my house. You could control and all that, you know, and I used to just play with that with my kids. And I remember once I took that robot to Jaipur at a Congress party adivation, and I had a lot of young kids lined up in a crowd of maybe 300-400 people. And this robot will go to these kids and ask them, what's your name? And the kid would say, whatever, Ramesh, and the robot will talk to Ramesh. And kids just used to freak out, you know, and this was a long time ago. Rajiv brought to India fresh mind, different viewpoint, lot of hope, aspirations reflected in his energy, and his concern for poor at the bottom of the economic pyramid. A lot of people like me got attracted to this idea of India that Nehru and Gandhi and others had conceived, articulated, and we felt collectively we could take it forward. My piece was very small piece, technology. There were lots of other pieces to the puzzle. And I thought I could get an opportunity to work with him to implement my piece. In the process, because of the relationship, we started dreaming big about India in 21st century. What kind of a nation we want to build in 21st century? And the basic idea was that we want to lift large number of people out of poverty. We want to really use technology as an entry point to bring about generational changes. We want to reform our mindset. We want to really bring in privatization, liberalization. We want to create jobs and opportunities. We want to improve education. All of the things that you see today, in many ways, had seeds planted in mid-80s. It was a sea change. It was a romantic time. For me, it was like being on drug all the time. It was really very interesting time. Going to sleep was a guilty feeling, saying, why are you taking time from all the good stuff that's going on? And the canvas was just so big to do things. And there was energy in the air. I tell people that look at me as an example of Indian. I come from a very poor family, born and raised in tribal little village in Orissa. My father had 4th grade education, and I could go get a master's in physics for no more than $10 total tuition. Which country will give you that? That's what Congress did for me. Congress got us independence. So my father felt that he was now free to do whatever he wanted to do. He would have never thought of sending his children to colleges if it was under British Raj. That's what Congress did. Congress built all the institutions, IITs, IIMs, research laboratories, CSIR, space research, atomic energy, you name it. Institution building. Beside, the biggest contribution is democracy. I must tell you this. I was with a delegation to Soviet Union then. And in our conversation, one of the ministers in Soviet Union under Gorbachev said, Mr. Pitroda, we are very impressed with India only for one reason, that you have been able to hold your country together with all the diversity you have without guns. He said, when we turn our guns around, we'll fall apart. I didn't understand his comment then in 86, 87. But when Soviet Union fell apart, I realized what he was saying. That is the beauty of India. Even in 2004, people used to say India is shining, and Congress party didn't do anything for 50 years. And I said, I can't stand that, because that's a lie. And it reflects on many of us. The biggest accomplishment was also Green Revolution, Milk Revolution. You look at all of the things that we all benefit today. These things were planted during Congress time. A lot of people worked on it. It required a huge amount of talent. But Congress provided that vision, that opening, infrastructure, encouragement, and you can't say that nothing got done, because it's an insult, not only to one political party, but to the talent of this country. How can you say that nothing got done? You have to take pride collectively in what got done. This is just my side of the story. So I would say one was telecom, IT, and everything we have today has roots in Rajiv Gandhi era. 2, technology missions. We launched series of technology missions, first on literacy, then we had literacy below 30%, now it is almost 80%. Don't forget that literacy was a program under Rajiv Gandhi. Immunization, We had the largest number of polio patients in the world. And we were not making polio vaccines. So we went to Rajiv Gandhi and he said, let's produce polio vaccine. We took the risk. At that time, India did not produce any vaccine. Today, we are the largest producer of vaccines in the world. We eradicated polio. Nobody knows. Nobody cares. They have no idea of how polio got eradicated. They think some ad on TV by some actor giving few drops of polio did it. Then oil seeds. We used to import $1 billion worth of edible oil. So we had a mission on oil seeds and we started reducing that import substantially and became a highly productive country on the oil seed front. Drinking water, milk was another mission. We are the largest producer of milk today in the world. How did that happen? Because someone like Mr. Kurian, Dr. Kurian came back from US, gave his life. It takes 40, 50 years of dedicated service to get anything done. There are no quick fixes. Look at Green Revolution. In my time, people used to say India will not be able to feed herself. Today, not only we feed 1.2 billion people, but we have surplus food. How did that happen? Green Revolution was very much part of Congress legacy. There are all kinds of interesting scientists. Some of them I had an opportunity to work with, Swaminathan, Randhawa, Dr. Rao. They were just brilliant, dedicated, committed Indian scientists. I mean, so many interesting things got done. Whenever somebody says nothing got done, I feel sorry for them when they say it, nothing got done. I feel sorry for their ignorance. I feel sorry for their sort of need to say something like that. Oh my God, so many things, many. I would say he was very kind to me. He was very generous to me. You know, he would call sometimes at 10 o'clock at night and he would say, Sam, come. So I'll go to his house and sometimes I'll take my wife with me because she hardly got to see me. And then he'll start talking to her and she'll just freak out. Okay. He was very good with people. He had right body language, eye contact. He was warm. In our relationship for almost a decade, I don't think there was any conflict at all. None whatsoever. But then when I met him, I never talked about work. Because there's no sense in my going to Prime Minister of the country and tell him what I'm doing and what are my problems. That's my job. No, that's done. You're given me the responsibility. I don't talk to you about that. Whatever you want to talk, it's okay with me. Gorbachev was coming to India. And he and I had spoken and I said, look, I would like to meet Gorbachev. Because all the stuff that was going on at that time in Soviet Union interested me. So he said, no problem. So I assumed that we are going to meet Gorbachev. And then day before he calls me and he said, Sam, we have a problem. I said, what? He said, you cannot meet Gorbachev. I said, okay. He said, you know, the problem is our bureaucracy. In their bureaucracy says, how could some guy in Indian government meet President of Soviet Union just like that? Okay, there has to be protocol. Is he a Minister of External Affairs or whatever? You know, so I said, it's okay. He said, I'm sorry, but you know, can't do it. I said, I have an idea. He said, what? I said, Gorbachev is coming to your house for dinner. Why don't you tell him after your dinner that let's go have coffee with Sam? He said, okay, good idea. He agreed. So at 10:30, we go to his house and we were there before setting everything up. And I had with me Jairam Ramesh, who worked with me then, Dr. Ashok Ganguly, and Dr. Arunachalam. My idea was to tell Gorbachev that India is technologically more advanced than you all think. We can give you computers, we can give you software. Ashok Ganguly had all the consumer products because he was head of Unilever then. Soviet Union needs consumer products, soap, oil, leather products and all that. And we can collaborate on the defense. So we had Dr. Arunachalam, head of DRDO. We are all sitting there. We had a, Kodak projector. And he said, this is Sam and I wanted you to meet these guys. And we spent an hour together with Rajiv and Gorbachev. And then Priyanka and Rahul were young. They both walked in there. I still remember Gorbachev, there is a tray of ilaichi. So we were all taking one. Gorbachev thought that he should take one, and he took one, and he didn't know what this thing was. So he asked, "What is this?" So we had some very interesting time, very personal time, lots of good memories. Some will die with us. Those were romantic days for some of us. I would say with Indira Gandhi, I didn't work. She was too big for me to be even connected to her. She gave me an opportunity for an hour and met 2-3 times. She was very kind and good gestures and all that. Rajiv Gandhi, I definitely worked for a long time, longest in my life at that level. Then I worked with Mrs. Sonia Gandhi also. She was also very smart, very generous. Contrary to all the things people say, she was very intelligent, or she is. I found her to be terrific, very supportive, understanding. For example, Rahul, he's highly educated. He's a great thinker. He reads well. He may not be a greatest speaker in the world, but we are not about a debating society. We are about nation building. Nation building requires a lot more than ability to talk on public platform. It requires right kind of mindset, concern for people, inclusion, the idea of India. It was 10 o'clock at night or 10:30. I got a call from my biographer, Mayank Chaya, saying, "Do you know that Rajiv Gandhi got killed?" And I was shocked. I didn't know what to do. Mr. T.N. Seshan then was election commissioner. He was a friend. He called, he said, "Sam, why don't you come to my home? There is better security." And I just didn't know what to do. I literally lost my heart. I remember looking at his burning body at his funeral. And I see all our dreams sort of became smoke with it. That romance with a nation sort of, I wouldn't say vanished, but got delayed, distracted, derailed. It was tough. We all miss him, even today, in our own different way. A nation misses him. Today, India would have been very different if Rajiv Gandhi had been given 10 more years to implement his dream. One, Rajiv Gandhi was young, had a dream, was charismatic. He believed in the inclusive, diverse India. He believed in opportunities for young. He believed in young talent. He believed in equality. He believed in lifting poor people at the bottom of the economic pyramid up through technology interventions. And he was also a little bit tacky. So that was interesting. He'll take a screwdriver and fix it, something. I remember once I went to his house and he was on a stool standing up there and changing bulb. This is the Prime Minister of India. And he says, "Sam, give me that screwdriver." Okay. And I said, "Why are you changing bulb?" He said that the bulb is flicking. So rather than asking some electrician to come and fix it, he decided to go get up and do it himself. That's the kind of person he was. Digital India seeds were planted in Rajiv Gandhi's time with formation of NIC, building indigenous talent in telecom, IT, software, microprocessor, then leading to starting companies like TCS, Infosys, Wipro, and many others. But during Manmohan Singh's time, a lot of new things got done. People don't talk about it. People don't get credit for it, but let me take this opportunity and tell you what got done. In Manmohan Singh's time, we had National Knowledge Commission. Part of National Knowledge Commission was a big report. At the end of the report, there was recommendations on e-governance. These recommendations led to many different sort of activities in Digital India. One, we decided to connect 250,000 panchayats to optical fiber. That was our idea. Then we decided simultaneously to build National Knowledge Network to connect 1100 nodes with optical fiber cable to connect all our universities, all our libraries, and all our R&D institutions. That got done way before connectivity to Panchayat. That network called National Knowledge Network today is the real foundation for Digital India. It's the backbone of Digital India. Digital India is not about some websites that people think. Nowadays people inaugurated a website and have a big news. Okay, that's not what Digital India is all about. So you had National Knowledge Network, you had connectivity to Panchayat, you had UID, what Nandan and his group started. And then we had program, for example, I was in charge of a program by government on mobile payment. We had a committee which I chaired on mobile payment. And today you talk about the payment and all, nobody knows that we started that work. Okay. But that's okay. In a country, the idea is not to take credit for anything, but the idea is to work has to move on. And I'm glad that Modi government decided to continue emphasis on Digital India. And I'm glad that over a period of time, people of India would benefit in terms of fund transfer, in terms of registration through Aadhaar, getting government public services enhanced. So all of that is good. I think Rahul is a much deeper thinker, if you ask me. Okay, Rahul is more analytical. Rahul is more focused on going more and more into details, and it's a matter of style. Oh yeah. He would have been excited about the internet, web, Google search, AI, big data, analytics, open source software. He would have loved a lot of this stuff. In those days there was no software. We didn't have Microsoft Office. Okay, there is a thing called framework, which was a disaster, but that's what we used. Okay, absolutely. He would have been very happy to see all the developments in IT technologies. Absolutely. He would have been thrilled with the smartphone. There is a lot of stuff written. There is a Harvard Business Review case study on it. There's an article in Harvard Business Review in 1994 on how we did all this. Okay, there are newspaper stories in India all over, magazines after magazines. There are cover stories, there are about 20 cover stories on what we did. That's why I wrote a book called Dreaming Big. I wrote a book because, like you are asking me, someday my own granddaughter will ask the question saying, who was this old man who came to America 80 years ago? What did he do? And whatever her father tells is going to be very different from what I have to tell. Because her father was born in America. He doesn't understand India the way I understand. So I had to write a book. And in that book I talked about all of these things from my perspective. I had little hardware that we wanted to show him. And I called him and I said, can we come to your office and show you something? He said, yeah, set it up outside. So in 2-3 days we set it up outside his office, security and all that stuff. And I took some of the young people with me, because they also need to see him, meet him, because then only I can charge them up. I can't shield them from Prime Minister. So I would take young people with me whenever I had chance. So I had 4 or 5 young people with me, and they were already dressed up nicely. Prime Minister is going to come, young Prime Minister. So one fellow, so he comes and shakes hands with everybody, and they're explaining this and that, and everybody's saying their own thing. Because everybody wants his attention and all that. So you let it happen. So one guy, what was his name? A very interesting young guy. He says, I'm not washing my hand for 30 days. I said, why? He said, do you realize I shook hand with Prime Minister? He said, this hand, I'm going to wrap it up in a glove for 30 days. I mean, that was romantic. Okay. That's how he excited people. Okay. It doesn't mean much, but it means a lot. Okay. So we had so many interesting examples. And some of the girls I will take, we had secretary. Other girls used to go gaga over him. But he was so exciting to people and also giving hope to people. That's the most important thing. First of all, big dream never gets done. Big dream continues. You get little pieces of the dream done. Okay. It is not a project, it is a process. So when you dream something, a piece gets done. Connectivity got done. Okay. But that doesn't mean broadband got done. That doesn't mean content got done. Okay. So the process has to continue. And next generation has to take over. I believe in young talent because I used to be one. Okay. How could I not remember that? I did most of my work when I was in 40. That was the romantic time. You had energy, you had enthusiasm, you had hope, and you also didn't know much. Ignorance at times is a great asset. If you know too much, you sometimes don't do things. Okay. Why hire a lot of young people? Because they don't know it can't be done. And they'll get it done. Okay. You hire an old person, they'll tell you why it won't be done and why it can't be done. And that's the beauty of young. Okay. So I think large number of young people have to really dream big, continue to dream big. And there is so much to do in this country. There is work cut out for 100 years. That's the world we live in. It's exciting. This is the most interesting and exciting time in the human history.